We're going to teach you how to calculate limit. There are 4 different ways to calculate limit. First way, use limit laws. Second way, use algebra to find the limit in the form 0 over 0. Third way, find the limit in the trigonometry function sin x over x when x goes to 0 equals 1. Fourth way, to use squeeze theorems. Let's look at the first way to find the limit using limit laws. The first group of the limit laws, there are 5. And the first one is addition laws. Second one is subtraction laws. Third one is constant times function laws. And the fourth one will be product law. Last one will be quotient laws. For quotient, be careful, denominator cannot equal 0. Another group, constant function limit is constant itself. Identity functions limit, it's their value. There is a power function, the value it's their powers. Radical function, composition of radical function. Let's say how to use a law to find this problem's limit. First, this problem is a quotient, so we need to use quotient laws. Before we use quotient law, we need to understand the denominator cannot be equal 0. So we use the law 5 to find this function's limit. Use this quotient law, then we can write the quotient's limit in the limit's quotient. Then we use power function law, constant addition, subtraction. We write the limit, go through this function to each of them. Then we use the power function, identity functions laws, and find the function's limit. Then we calculate this. We got the final answer, negative 1 over 11th. When you look at the calculation, the limit process, you can find the function's limit and the function's value is actually exactly the same. So this gives us a short way to calculate the function's limit, called direct substitution property. If f is polynomial or rational function and a is in the domain, function's limit equals function's value. This is working for trigonometry function, essentially function. And look at it here. Sine function limit is sine function's limit value. Cosine function's limit is cosine's value. And use that to calculate the product x times cosine x when x approach to pi. Then just product, then use equals function's value at that point. We have actually equals negative pi. Practice. Let you try find the limit x goes to 1 sin x over 1 minus ln x. A second way to calculating the limit is using algebra when the limit form in the 0 over 0. So let's just check. We wanted to use a simple way to find the function limit. So put a 0 in the denominator. Unfortunately, we got denominator equals 0 square, which is 0. And we put a 0 for the numerator. 0 squared 0 plus 9, which equals 9. Square root will give you 3. 3 minus 3 will give you 0 over 0 format. So how do we find this limit? This is kind of new for people studying math first time, because we're going to calculate which is impossible in the way you learned before to calculate limit. And so this is our limit we need to find out. But look at it here. This looks like a minus b. So we're going to times their conjugate, a plus b, which will give me a squared minus b squared. So times a plus b for numerator, you need times a plus b in the denominator. Let's see what happened. Look at it here. When you when you product it out, you got the square root t squared plus 9 square will give you t squared plus 9. Then you minus 9. Then you are going to get a very nice result for numerators, t squared. Then you can cancel the t squared. Then you get 1 over square root t squared plus 9 plus 3. Now you put a 0 in the x, in the t. You should get the value 1 over 3 plus 3, and which would equals 1/6. In this process, the most important is cancel this 0 factor here. That's why to give you the way to calculate, use the way we learned in the part 1, found the limit is function's value. Practice, let you calculate limit x goes to 3, x to the cube minus 27 over x minus 3. And let's use the third way to calculate the limit. We use sine theta over theta. When theta approach to 0, this limit equals 1. We use this one to calculate this function's limit. This function is in cosine, but we need the sine, so we're going to use the same idea, a minus b times a plus b equals a squared minus b squared. So this is cosine theta minus 1, so we times cosine theta plus 1, and you need to divide by cosine theta plus 1. So when we calculate, and notice that we have trigonometry identity, sine square theta plus cosine square theta equals 1. And from here, we should have sine square theta equals 1 minus cosine square theta. So we put in here, we should have negative sine square theta there. And since sine theta comes out, we can use sine theta over theta to find the function's limit. So we're going to separate in the two functions product. Notice that this part, when theta goes 0, is 1, and in this part is a quotient because denominator not going to have 0. Then we should have this part equals 1, and this part use the direct way to find the limit, which is the function's value at 0. So we have a final answer, 0, for this question. Practice, let you calculate the limit x goes to 0, sine 7x over x. The next part to calculate the limit, use squeeze theorems. First, I will give you a little conclusion here. If a function is smaller, your limit will be smaller. Okay, use that one. Say, let's say we have a double size inequality. G is a function in the middle. G is bigger than fx, less than hx. But this function side limit and this side limit both equals L. And we should have the middle part limit equals L too. Okay, we want to use that squeeze theorem to show this limit x squared sine 1 over x when x goes to 0 equals 0. First, since it's product, we want to use product rule. We got this is product, so this part times this part. Unfortunately, this part limit does not exist. So we can't use the product rule. And so we are going to use the squeeze theorem. We need to find a small function. We need to find a bigger function. So for this, we notice that the sine x, what sine x 1 over x have? Sine x, sine 1 over x is bigger than negative 1, less than 1. And also we notice x squared is positive. Inequality times the positive number, the inequality remains. So we times x squared for both left side and the right side and the middle. Then we have this inequality. If we expand this inequality in this graph, the blue is y equals x squared sine 1 over x. And so this blue function is squeezed between y equals x squared and y equals negative x squared. We let x equal 0. X squared is 0, negative x squared is 0, so smaller and large is 0, so the middle must have a limit equals 0. Let's practice limit x goes to 0, x squared cosine 1 over x cubed. Ask you prove equals 0. This will be today's 4 ways to calculate the limit.